Hello, hello, hello. So happy to have you with us. I am going to be broadcasting outside, so there will be a lot of noise potentially. But I wanted to get this out here or out there, because we are coming up to the fourth episode of The Bachelorette and with Michelle. And obviously, I definitely want to cover Michelle, and all that would entail this episode. There's so much going on, there's so much to cover. So I'm going to try my best to remember all of the names, because obviously that's going to be something that I may actually forget. So please bear with me as I learn all these men and try to figure that out. However, I'm really excited because and we saw in the first three episodes, it was very, very interesting. I have a lot to share about that, so let's get started. So with the first episode, we see a lot of men, 31 to be exact, to kick off season 18 of The Bachelorette. And I'm really excited for Michelle because we all kind of felt to some capacity that the last Bachelor should have picked her, but it's okay because it's her time to find love. So anyway, it all works out well for everyone, hopefully. So with Michelle, she got a lot of bachelors out there, and one of the things that kind of was a little unnerving this episode was the part where it was interesting, because one of the bachelors, he actually had a folder filled with notes and typed notes and written notes and pictures and diagrams and all different types of exhibits to help him get through this season. And the way that they found out about that was that they decided to do some sort of search of their suitcases. It was just pretty quick and standard. It was a surprise search, that sort of thing. And no one knew about it. But what was uncovered was the fact that he had pretty much this game plan and strategy on how to win Michelle's heart. And I had kind of mixed feelings about this. When I saw the previews, I was like, I'm definitely going to say something about this, because at the end of the day, all of the men want a chance at love. They all want to be able to impress Michelle and capture her heart. And for someone who has not watched any of the episodes of The Bachelorette or Bachelor or any of the Bachelor franchise videos, it's going to be harder for them to understand how everything works. It's going to be harder for them to understand what to expect when they get into the house, what to expect in terms of interacting with the other castmates and things of that nature. And if they have not followed her on like IG or the gram or whatever you want to call it, if they're not following her on Instagram or any of the social media platforms, then it's going to be potentially hard for them to understand. They're not going to have a leg up like some of the other guys. And so on that side of it, I totally get it. And on the other side of it, he never expected someone to go through his stuff. And I kind of akin it to someone going through someone's diary or their journal. No one wants someone to read stuff like that. That's none of their business. And frankly, the only way that they should be able to do that is if someone invited them to. Now, he could have said no. There have been this is not a competition. This was not a competition exercise or something, or game. And in the past, we have seen other bachelors or bachelorettes in the cast say, hey, I don't want to participate in this game. I don't feel well, or, my shoulder, or, I had like this recent surgery, or whatever the case or excuse was to get them out of competing. This was even before anything happened. So it kind of sucks for him. And sorry, I can't find another word to describe it, but it's sad for him because I think that perhaps, you never know, there could have been a connection, and maybe it really came from a pure place where he was like, I'm going to try my best, and he looked at it as more of an intellectual thing, and in a more analytical way. It wasn't like he was looking at it through the eyes of his heart. Maybe he was looking at it more in a capacity that, hey, I'm gonna win this, and some of the other guys look at it that way as well. So I can't really blame him for that, but at the same time, it did kind of look bad, shady, whatever other word you want to put in there. And so it didn't rub her the right way. But I think in this show, I do notice it's like the host or someone will do something, and then they will like trigger them, and they'll be like, oh, this happened, and they'll just go off of, like, I think she could have, if she slept on it, I think maybe she would have had a different outcome, got to know him with that knowledge, that sort of thing. But she just kind of reacted to it right away. And I just feel like that, if we're all in this for the right reasons, then let's try to give people the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, she has to listen to her gut. She felt creeped out about it. I mean, I can understand the other side about it, but he did kind of get caught in misspeaking about the situation. First he said, oh, it was my friend's wife, and then he goes, oh no, I put notes in it, and then he's like, no, they made notes for me. And then it was just kind of changing. So I'm not saying that one of the stories has to totally cancel out the other. It could have been mostly his friend's wife. It could have been then some of his friend, and then the least participating person maybe was him. But he did have those notes. It did look bad, and she got rid of him the first week. So let's move on for the second week. So the second week was interesting. A lot of different things happened that week, and it was one marked with some controversy. So forgive me if I jumble up weeks 2 and 3. So let's just kind of talk about them together so that we can get you all caught up. One of the main things about week 2 was Jamie. He, kind of came across a little bit cocky, like, oh, I'm going to be looking at her just as much as she's looking at me type of thing, which I understand. He feels that he has a lot to offer her, so he's not going to go into this blindly, and I totally get that. So most of the time, he kind of just had that sort of demeanor about him. There was a huge I'm going to just leave with that because this was like the biggest controversy. There was a huge controversy where he didn't start the rumor. Now, I want to be clear. If you remember where this conversation started, as per the episodes, and we all know there's editing and things, but as in the episodes and how it started, it was Martin and 2 other guys and Jamie. Now, Martin is the one who actually brought it up. He goes, oh, they seem really close, referring to Michelle and Joe. Now, if you remember, Joe was actually a basketball player just like Michelle. So Joe and Michelle have that common thread where they both played college basketball, and they are both pretty much like athletes, and Joe was kind of like a star athlete sort of thing as well. Joe actually had some sad news before one of the dates where he showed his basketball skills, and that was really sad because it was a college coach, I believe. But anyway, people started questioning because they seemed to hit it off so well. They were like, hey, they had to know each other. They're both basketball players. They both come from the same state, same city. They've had to know each other. So Martin actually is the one who brought it up. Now Martin is the personal trainer, and he is he has like the blonde tips on his hair dyed or whatever. So he brought it up, and Jamie was there, and Jamie kind of, continued that thought, and he was like, well, yeah, I mean, I think this is I'd like to know if that was the case. Now Jamie didn't tell us at that point that he had additional information, which was revealed in episode 3, which was that the additional information was that he had a friend, allegedly his friend saw her in a crowd of people, and he saw her with some guy. So the friend saw her with some guy. It was a tall, as he described him, light-skinned man, leaving with her, or after dinner or something. So when he was out with his friends, these ladies were saying, hey, she already has a guy, and blah blah blah. So this was the story, or something similar to that, was sold to him, Jamie, and so he kind of had that in the back of his mind. He didn't share it with those men right then and there, but that was in the back of his mind. So then basically moving forward after that, we see different conversations in the house ensue. People are like, oh, she knew him. Did she know him? They do seem to get along really well. What's going on here? So that kind of took a life of its own. Some other things happened in episode 2, where Peter kind of got a little cocky during the group date, and he, felt like I guess he kind of wanted to draw attention to himself, sort of thing, and so that was a big deal. Another group date that happened was when they were playing basketball, like I said, and Joe was able to showcase his skills. And even though he was on the losing team, she did invite him to the smaller, more intimate occasion that occurs after the group dates. And sorry if my voice sounds a little different. I am kind of dehydrated. I think I am kind of dehydrated, but I really wanted to get this out to my subscribers. So anyway, after the group date, that's when that sort of drama kind of unfolded. She has hit it off with some of the guys. I'm not going to remember all of their names, so I will try to be more succinct with that. But Nate, she gave that first rose to. Jamie, she was hitting it off with very well. Some of the other guys, even Rodney as well. So Rodney had a one-on-one with her. So there were some guys who were really hitting it off. So continuing with that whole Jamie unfolding drama, what happened in episode 3 was that it kind of got out. He never confessed to any of the guys that it was him who made her upset or anything like that, but he kept it to himself. Eventually, someone did confront him about it. It was Nate and some other guys that were there. Now, before I get to that, I did want to mention the fact that in one of the group dates, Will won a jacket. And it was when he actually won a bomber jacket. They did sort of like a group date where they were, it was like kind of like a flying exhibition type of day. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that was like the theme, flying. And so he won a bomber. Now, obviously, someone was very jealous about that and very immature about that, and this person threw the bomber into the pool. No one thought he was going to do it. So the person, I'm actually having to re-record this again because I lost my audio, but the person who took Will's jacket and threw it in the pool was Peter. And it was not a good look for him, and the other guys seemed kind of shocked. They didn't know what he was going to do when he took the jacket, but they went ahead and told the guy after he came back, like, hey, we didn't know what he was doing, but he took the jacket and it's in the pool. And then Peter actually admitted to it as well. So he kind of didn't really feel bad about it, it seemed. He felt like his behavior... Sorry, I'm just actually finishing an eggplant parmesan. His behavior was... well, I'm going to save some for later after recording. But his behavior was somehow justified. So I didn't, quite... get it. But what was good, and this is something I've never seen in all of the seasons that I've watched the show, is that, and maybe this will change in the 4th episode, we'll see, was that after this occurred, the guys just kind of stuck it out and dealt with it amongst themselves. They didn't go and run tell the Bachelorette and say, oh, guess what happened? This, sort of thing occurred, and basically, gossip about the situation, tell about the situation, whatever. Maybe those aren't the correct words to use, but this has happened season after season after season, where something has happened in the house and people have gotten upset, and they have basically just told the Bachelorette, the person, they wind up being upset and having to confront it, and it just detracts from the rest of everyone's storylines and things like that. So it was nice to see for once these guys just kind of like handling it on their own, and not. It was a big deal to Will, and we could see him go off and start crying a bit. So it was a big deal for him, but in general, it was nice to see that they kind of tried to deal with it on their own. In the end, going back to the Jamie drama, I'm not sure if I had mentioned this in my previous recording before it got cut off, but Jamie wound up sharing his information and confronting Michelle, but that was only after Nate confronted him and was like, hey, was it you that said this? And he was like, yeah. But it would be interesting to see if anyone remembers that Martin was the one out of that group of 4 to actually start talking about it. It was Martin, Jamie, and 2 other guys. And so to me, it's interesting that Jamie was pretty much like the only one involved. It seemed that they, remembered, or maybe they will remember it. Who knows? But anyway, the main thing... after Nate and a few other people confronted Jamie about it, was that Jamie told Michelle the story about the friend and this and that and the other. And obviously, excuse me. Ooh, I'm back, recovered. So after Jamie tells this to Michelle, then Rick actually confronts Michelle, information that he learned after, I guess Jamie and some of the guys spoke. And so I like how Chris did it, because Chris was like, oh, I just want to let you know, none of us in the house questioned that you knew him before, or I forgot exactly how he said it. He said, none of us question you, basically. And that made her feel good, because I think she took a hit after her conversation with Jamie, because her and Jamie hit it off really well. And I thought Jamie would last in there much longer. But then when he started having his little voiceovers about he doesn't need to be the good guy, and he needs to know if she's good enough for him, basically, in so many words, and he's looking at the other men thinking they're a joke, because I guess he's has a high prominent position, and so he kind of felt as if he was amongst a league of boys and he was the man, type of thing, or something like that or another. So it's unfortunate that Jamie had to go, but it seems like some of these, in the first few episodes, these guys have been going in these weird ways. Ryan went because they found all of the stuff in his in his luggage. Now Jamie's gone. I may have missed out on someone else who went, but yeah, those were the two exits that were noteworthy, that I can remember that's worth discussing. And that's a little bit of a recap of the little bit of the messiness from the first 3 episodes. But I do believe she has a core group of guys, a core group of men that she can really hit it off with, and that can make it to the top 3, and that will be great viable mates for her. So I really hope that it works out for her in the end, and I look forward to sharing more about it in the upcoming episodes. So again, thanks for listening and tuning into my videos, watching them, of course, even though a lot of the times it's just my voice. And so, well, actually all of the times it's just my voice. Maybe I'll come on screen soon. But thanks again. I love seeing your comments, so please comment. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Seeing your comments in the next video and being back on here sooner than later. Thanks. Bye.